Okay, welcome back, everybody. I've got another guest here with me this week. I started these interviews at the end of last year. I thought I'm just going to do 10 of them, a nice way to lead us into the end of the year, to kick off the new year with a bunch of inspiration, meeting different folks, hearing their stories of major changes that they dealt with or starting over. And I just was having entirely too much fun. I was just loving it so much that I decided doing this. So I've got a special guest joining me again here today, and we're going to wait to get him on. All right, there he is. Hi, Jay. I think I just need to get you to click on the little video button at the bottom there. Do you see a little video camera button there that's going to let you join me? Hi, Ron. Okay. Okay. Oh, all right. Okay. Hi, Jay. How are you?
Hey, Kari, I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing really great. So thanks so much for joining me. I'm glad to have you on here.
For Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you know what? I've just been enjoying these so much that I was like, I know a bunch of other people that I can still talk to, and I'm sure have great stories to hear and share. And so I was just like going through, and I'm like, who do I know that I think would be a great, great person to speak with? So, um, yeah, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. So, go ahead and introduce yourself. Let everybody know who we've got on as our guest today.
Sure. So, again, thank you for having me. My name is Jay Hurt. I am the COO, the Chief Operating Officer of the Academy of Creative Coaching. I am also a relationship coach. I've been doing that for 11 years. I have a sales background for 17 years in corporate America as well. And just loving life, really enjoy what I do, enjoy, moving the academy forward every day. And uh, Kari has graced our program with her presence, and it has been an amazing journey. So yeah, I love it. Love what I do. So thank you for that, Kari.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And so basically, what I would like to talk about here is we're talking about major life change, something big some journey that you went on here. So what was the big event for you?
Okay. So the big event for me, it's really interesting because I think I still can't really bring it all together and how it happened. But the big event for me was, I guess now it's been about 13 or so years ago, right? So that would be 2007, no, maybe 15 years ago, about 2007,
Trying to do math.
2008. Right, I'm trying to do math in my head. Um, so I was engaged and, you know, dealing with the fun stuff that we deal with in relationships, and some things happened and we didn't make it. So really, it's really interesting that I should say I was never the person that people came to for relationship advice growing up. I was never that friend. Well, let's go talk to Jay and see what he thinks. Nobody cared what Jay thought. Nobody asked me any of those questions. So, um, but after this breakup, for some reason, it's like somebody was trying to tell me something. I don't know, God, universe, I don't know, but somebody was talking to me, and people were asking me questions all the time, Kari, about um, relationships, and it was the weirdest thing. And I thought, in my uh, naivete, that it was just something everybody knew, right? Like A plus B equals C, right? So you know to treat a woman well, you know to treat your man well, you know how to serve him, you know to do these things, right? But I had never studied it. So I decided when I was getting all of this influx of questions, right? A lot from women, from men, from people my age demographic, my race demographic, outside of those things. I said, you know what? I think I'll write a book about it. So when I decided to write a book, one of the things that I thought was really important was to write something that was not just a book of my opinions, right? We all hear that. We hear people on YouTube every day now. We hear people all over the world that are, we all have platforms that we can easily access, and we just share our opinions, our thoughts. And I thought it was important to really share research, right? To have an understanding, to have some background on it, because even though I thought I had the answers, I know better. And I know that, like I said, I thought that everybody kind of knows this and we figure it out, but I knew that there were researchers, the Gottmans and people like that really do a deep dive into relationships. So as I was doing this research for my book, I found coaching. And when I found coaching, I said, okay, I'm gonna go to a coaching program, right? I think this is a great idea. If I'm gonna wind up doing this whether it's a hobby or whether it's my profession, I think I should have a little bit of insight, some information, right? Be certified, be credentialed, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. So went to the program, and I'll never forget the very first day, they said, we want you to start coaching. And they gave me some tips. They gave me some tools. And so I went and I coached a friend the first day, right? Which I know in our program we talk about coaching friends is challenging, and it is challenging. But so I coached a friend, and I'll never forget. So I'd been giving this friend advice for a while. She didn't care. She wasn't following anything. She was asking every day, right? But she wasn't following any of it. And that day I coached her, and when I coached her, it was like an aha moment. A light bulb went off. And I was like, oh my God, this is where I need to be. This is what I should be doing. Like, what is wrong with me? Why haven't I been doing this forever?
Yeah.
And she actually made impactful changes after that in her relationship. And I knew this is where I was supposed to be. I knew coaching is where I was supposed to be. And then I went on through that class and finished that class and got certified as a relationship coach. And I often say that I was making too much money in corporate America to leave initially. Mm-hmm. But I was a mentor coach at my company already. And so I transitioned these skills that I learned from an ICF accredited program to my coaching in the business world. I got way better results, and it truly impacted my life. And it brought me to where I am now with the Academy. And it's just a night and day transition. Right, so it's a different altogether.
That's a great story. So I'm curious then, how did you, when you were making that decision, I guess, to transition into a coaching role and outside of that corporate America, mm-hmm. What was that time like for you in making that choice?
So as I'm having a couple problems with me, just a second. Issues with my setup. There we go. I think. Okay. So yeah, there we go. Okay. So how did I deal with that with my transition in corporate America? That was the question.
Yeah. How were you feeling about that decision, and when you were making that move? Like, what was going on with you at the time?
So I made that move, that official move in 2019, and when I made that move, I was transitioning out of a sales job in corporate America, really, a good sales job, a lucrative sales job. But I still knew I loved coaching, right? And my friend, the owner and founder of the Academy of Creative Coaching, Dr. Pamela Larde, had been encouraging me to come and teach for the company for quite some time. Now I've been pushing back. No, I wasn't ready. So she got me to go through the program. And when I went through the program, I was hooked. I was absolutely, like, I knew this is where I was supposed to be. So we had some conversations that led to, my current position and doing what I'm doing and helping to grow the business. And so the transition it was not bumpy at all. It just felt like this is what I feel like this is what I should have been doing all along, right? But everything has a process. So it was just a really smooth transition for me.
Hey, that's great. Yeah. That's great. So then when you, since you've been in this role now, what has it been like for you? Can you tell us maybe some differences of how you were feeling when you were doing your corporate work versus how you feel doing this work.
Oh, wow. When I was doing my corporate work as a mentor coach, I was a sales executive as well, an account executive for a Fortune 50 company. But when I was doing the mentor coaching before I did that, I loved that work. That was awesome, especially when I brought the ICF components to that work, the ICF skill set. And so it was good. But this work that I'm doing now, it is just so much more fulfilling, right? Trying to, work to grow the company, work to help people kind of realize their goals, right? Because at the end of the day, I think when we're all in a position where we can feel like when I felt the day that I had that aha moment, it changes our lives, right? When we get up, we want to go do whatever that thing is we're doing, right? So as a coach, I know I want to get up, I want to help people. As a COO, I want to grow the company, right? I come from a corporate background, so I love that piece too. So it's just been it's been kind of a whirlwind. It's been fast. It's been 2.5 years now, but it's been a lot of growth, exponential growth over the 2.5 years. And I guess there's no place I would rather be.
That's great. Yeah, and I just want to reiterate though what I heard you say is that you were good where you were and you were liking what you were doing and you were happy there. So just for anybody listening to this, you don't always have to be miserable to want to make a life change. That's not the message here is wait until, you must be completely dissatisfied, but that there could still be that component, as you said, where now you feel fulfilled. And
Yes.
I think that's the X factor that sometimes might be missing, even if we are happy with where we are. It's just like that nagging thing in the back of your mind there. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Thanks for that. What about the challenges? Have you faced any particular challenges in your new role and transition? You said it was relatively smooth, but have there been any moments where you maybe thought, what did I do? Or this is more, like anything like that you can tell us about?
Yes, absolutely. So challenges every single day as we are still a growing business. I don't think I've had a day where I felt like, oh my gosh, what did I do? Why did I walk away from this 6-figure job that I know like the back of my hand to go, build this business? I think the challenges they're even kind of rewarding, to be honest with you, because, when you're with the companies that I've worked for, right? I've worked for 2 Fortune 50 companies and another company that was overseas, that was one of the largest copy paper companies, and I was an AE for that copy paper company over in the eastern part of the world. And those companies already had lots of things in place. With my last job, I worked directly for the COO, and there was lots of structure. There was hand holding as I came on board. Everything was kind of in place to go be successful, right? With this company, we have created, and I've been a part of that team of creating that customer success. So even though it's challenging, it is more rewarding for me, right? So seeing those things take shape and building that structure and seeing everything come together, it's just been great for me. And one thing that I'll add is one of the things that I always wanted to be a part of at the point when I was ready to step into an executive role was to really impact the culture, right? And our culture, at least from an administrative standpoint, we think our culture is great, right? And we hope you coaches think so as well. And the fact that I've been able to impact culture and have people really enjoy what they do, I think that's even more important, to be honest with you, than growing the business, because we want people that really want to be a part of what we do, right? With the great resignation, we see that lots of folks really don't want to be a part of what they're doing. We haven't had that. We've been really lucky, right? We haven't had one person, knock on wood, leave our organization, simply because they're ready to, they're the great resignation, right? For whatever reason, they're just ready to leave. That hasn't happened. So that's really been impactful to me.
That's great. Yeah. And I just, I like to kind of rewind a little bit here. And I heard you say that the challenges with leaving kind of an established corporation to go out on your own, because I know we've got a lot of entrepreneurs who listen in, is that you do feel a little bit like you're building something from scratch. It's not quite as there. You don't feel quite as like, I know this like the back of my hand. But what you said was it's much more rewarding, um,
Yes.
when because you are building this, and to go into your next point, you're building it the way that you would like it to be done. You're not fighting to change something, you're not trying to fix something, you are building it and saying, this is my vision here, and we can actually make that come to. And then when you have, as you mentioned, a situation where you don't have people walking out the door from the, walking away from the thing that you built, I'm sure that's got to feel great, right?
Yes, it does. Absolutely. It's a blessing. And I will tell you, so from working at organizations, the organization where I was a what we called a mentor coach, which is totally different what ICF calls a mentor coach, but where I was a mentor coach, we had a great culture. It was an amazing culture. The next organization I worked for was a challenging culture. And from seeing those two sides of the spectrum, I think one of the things that I really took away was how much the company with the great culture had the employees be a part of building that culture, right? And that's been something that we have really tried to really implement, right? Make sure that the employees are part of making this thing work, because at the end of the day, they own this just as much as we do.
That's an interesting point of view, an interesting perspective, to have the employees kind of growing and building the culture rather than having perhaps the leadership say, this is how we are. You know, that's a really
Yeah.
interesting perspective. I like that a lot. Yeah, I like that a lot. So, I knew I was gonna like hearing your story though, because I've had people on who come in and they've explained some of the challenges that they faced. And I want, what I'm liking hearing about your story though is that it doesn't always have to be like this big battle either. Like, it's okay for things to kind of align up with you and feel pretty good and feel right and move forward, and for you to just be kind of like, this was a good move and I'm happy with where this is going. So I'm glad to hear, that this story to share with folks as well. So I guess a final thought I like to get from folks is, what would you say to somebody who may be considering making a major change of their own?
Mm. What would I say to someone considering making a major change of their own? Maybe a couple things, right? So one, I think it's important to know why, what your why is behind the change, right? So, gosh, there are so many, like, again, I'm a coach, right? There's so many powerful questions that come to mind. But, but I think the net of it is, what is really most important to you in making this move, in making the decision, making the move, making the transformation, right? Making the transition. So really understanding that, what that looks like, and then what does the commitment look like moving forward? Because my commitment at my last company was important, and it was impactful to the business, but my commitment to this company is important and impactful to the business 10x what it was at the last company, maybe 20x, right? Because we're managing, growing a business with other people's livelihood at stake, right? So it's really important to know what your impact is, what that looks like, how much you want to commit to that, and just understand where you want to go and what you want to do and how fulfilling all that looks to you, right? I think that's those are the things that I consider, and I would encourage others to consider that as well.
That's really fantastic place to, I'm on board with that. I love that advice so much. So, yeah, thank you for that. So I guess final thoughts here to wrap us up. Tell us how we can support you or support your business, where we can get in touch with you. Just a little chance for you to use my platform to do a little self promotion here.
For sure. I appreciate that, Kari. So, first of all, you can reach us the Academy of Creative Coaching. Check out our website, academyofcreativecoaching.com. If you're interested in coaching, coach training, DEI training, diversity, equity, and inclusion, we have another acronym that we use for that called JEDI training, justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. So check that out if you're interested in that. As well, if you need to contact me directly, feel free to reach out to me via email, which is really simple, Jay, at academyofcreativecoaching.com. You can find me on social media at jhurtcoaching, everywhere, even TikTok, I think. So just check me out in those different places, and I'll respond. And anything you need, I'll be, happy to support you any way I can.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. And again, thank you for coming on here. One final thing, since I didn't get a waiver from you before we started here, just want to make sure get your approval that it's okay for me to use this recorded video on my social media platforms.
Absolutely, without question.
I appreciate that. Well, thank you so much for taking time sharing your story. So many good things. I love just hearing everyone's journeys and the advice that you have, the challenges you faced, and ultimately just hearing that people, as you said, Jay, there's this kind of surprise additional fulfillment that we see when we do pursue those new paths sometimes.
Absolutely. And if I can just say one more thing, if you don't mind, real quickly. For you guys that are watching and listening, Kari is an amazing coach. So definitely connect with Kari. Her personality and the light that shines from her, it is just, gosh, we want everybody that comes through our program to have that spirit that you have, right? I love it. You've been amazing from day one, and I just wanted to share that with your followers and everyone out
I
there.
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
For
I
sure.
didn't tell him to say that, everybody. I appreciate that. I'm getting all
No,
pink in the cheeks here.
no worries. Thank you again. I appreciate everything.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Catch it on the replay. Thanks, Jay, for tuning in and for chatting with me and sharing your story.
All right. Have a good one.